You're listening to Sister Stargazers, celestial and terrestrial observations and advice from two real-life sisters.
Welcome, fellow stargazers. Your sisters are in the house. Hi, Jude.
Hi, Sarah.
Welcome to episode 84. Big new moon, solar eclipse energy. We thought we would just jump right in with this. Episode 84, we're going to look at Sunday, April 16th through Saturday, April 22nd. A really exciting solar eclipse happening midweek. Let's go for it. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, well, we can start on Sunday because the moon will be in Pisces.
Mm-hmm.
And this will give us a bit of a reprieve. The moon will make some conjunctions to Saturn, it's a square to Venus. But what this does is it kind of sets us up for giving us time to think about maybe developing new habits.
Okay.
Moon square Venus and then trine to Mars is about, being equitable, kind of with your relations. So you want to kind of be a bit tempered on Sunday the 16th, but it's in general, the mood of the 16th and the 17th, Monday the 17th, is a bit of a ease.
Nice.
Because the moon's in Pisces and it's not a go-getter. It's in terms of, Pisces are pretty laid back in terms of the qualities of that sign.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, on Monday the 17th, the moon enters Aries and makes a sextile to Pluto. So right away, there's a shift at the end of the day on Monday the 17th, and we're starting to build.
Yeah.
So the moon enters Aries, 0 degrees Aries. You might, at that point, Monday the 17th, you might reflect back to the new moon that happened only a month ago at the vernal equinox, March 23rd, right? At 0 degrees, 1 degree of Aries. So as we move forward, we're in the Aries energy of big power, move stuff, get things going, initiate. And so by the time we get to Thursday the 20th, the moon has moved into position, alignment, a conjunction with the sun. Right next to the North Node. This is going to give us this powerful new moon eclipse. Which has the capacity to propel us from one time or one situation into a completely different situation and experience in our lives. There's people that we're going to meet. There's opportunities that are going to be available. There are potentials that will become available to us with this new moon that we have no idea about at this moment. So this is a big time. It's a big time. So on Monday, the 17th, I want to encourage people to start thinking about what they want to do that's different, what they want to do, how they want to change, how they want to envision their lives, that bring all of their gifts to bear, because this particular lunation that's happening on the 20th can propel you in that direction. It can almost like shift tracks for you. So that you can align, you can work towards those goals that make the most sense to your particular calling, your particular gifts.
And it's worth mentioning that this eclipse is happening in the southern hemisphere, just sort of on the western tip of Australia. So for some of our listeners here in the northern hemisphere, it's not something that you'll be able to visually take part in, but the energy of it is what we want to try to capitalize on and find the rhythm to propel ourselves into it.
There's definitely, you're going to start feeling that on Monday the 17th. And also because the moon is going to be sextiling Pluto, it's going to give you the drive to kind of uncover, really look at what you really want to do in a positive way. Because by the time we get to the new moon on the 20th with the sun and the moon conjunct, both of those are going to be at 29 degrees Aries, and they're going to be making a square to Pluto. So the sense might be, that can never happen. But, that's what the caterpillar says when it rolls up into its cocoon, right? I'll never turn into a butterfly. It doesn't actually know what it has the potential to become. But this is that kind of new moon where we go into that imaginal potential, and there's so much power. It's a fire sign. It's at the end of Aries. We had a new moon in Aries at the vernal equinox, another power point of the year, right? new moon in Aries, 0 degrees Aries. Now we have another new moon in Aries at the end of the sign. So there is this echo of like big change.
Yes.
The thing with this particular chart is that the changes are part of a growth pattern. And sometimes growth isn't all that comfortable, right?
Yeah.
You know, like when you're a teenager and you're going through a growth spurt, your bones ache.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, ooh, you know, like things are stretching and growing. Well, we have at the time of this particular lunation, this new moon, by the way, it's going to be at 12:12 a.m. Eastern time on the 20th.
Nice.
Right past midnight.
Yeah.
We have the sun and the moon in Aries at 29 degrees, making an opposition to Haumea in Libra at 29 degrees Libra. And that's about being in right relationship. So does this particular thing that you want to become, this I am energy that you want to become, that's the Aries potential, is it in right relations with the earth? You know, that's Haumea in Libra, right relations. Is it going to be something that's good for you? Is it good for the planet?
Yeah.
Is it something that you can co-create? Is it going to be supportive to a wider audience? You know, that's in some ways this is calling us to be of service.
Yes.
This particular lunation, and really pull on our gifts and really be anchored in knowing what we can contribute.
Exciting. Yeah.
The other squares that are going on is that this new moon, that's the sun and the moon conjunct in Aries, is making a square to Pluto. But the additional planets that are in Aries are, you know, Jupiter.
Yes, we've heard this before.
Yeah, Jupiter and Aries. Those are both in Aries. And Vesta and the North Node are in Taurus, right? Vesta is at 0 degrees Taurus. The North Node is at 2 degrees Taurus. And that's what makes this an eclipse, is because the North Node, the point where the moon intersects with the ecliptic, is called a node of the moon. And there's a north node and a south node. And the north node is about moving forward, making evolutionary leaps. The south node is about releasing, letting go of what no longer serves. So this north node, that's why I'm saying this has got such potential. Because this north node is conjunct Vesta in Taurus. And those are both conjunct the sun and the moon at 29 degrees at the very end of Aries. And they're all 4 of them, plus Eris and Jupiter, are making squares back to 0 degrees of Aquarius, which is Pluto. So this is like a massive opportunity for growth. If we can dig down and really set our intentions, because that's Vesta. Vesta wants the best. She wants the dedication. She wants to set the bar high. She wants to have a purity of focus. That's Vesta. And when you can align all that stuff and really know why you're doing it, that's going to give you that power to move forward. And then the other planet that's kind of making this into a grand square is Pallas. It's an asteroid goddess. At 25 degrees of Cancer. And that placement for Pallas is a fierce protector of the home, the family, kind of defining boundaries. And she's holding space for this growth to happen. So she's making a square back to Haumea in Libra 29, and is also making a square back to this new moon, and specifically to Eris, which is also conjunct this new moon, and Jupiter, which is about 5 to 7 degrees out from this new moon.
Amazing.
So this grand square is about big growth, pushing through, right? We want to make sure that we're not too impulsive or reactive, because the other thing about this new moon is that it's ruled by Mars. And Mars is in Cancer, And it's also out of bounds, which means that it's moving beyond its declination. It's beyond its normal declination, which is roughly 19 degrees above the ecliptic. Mars is operating somewhere out in the 23 degree zone, 24.8 specifically.
Right.
So Mars is outside of this realm of acting normal. It's acting irrational.
Yeah.
There are potentials because Mars rules this eclipse, because Mars rules Aries and the sun and the moon are in Aries. There's this potential for reactivity, for, getting too fired up, too upset, too riled. So that's something to just watch out for. And Mars will be out of bounds until early May.
Okay.
There's also, the possibility of surprising news because Mercury and Uranus are in a conjunction in Taurus.
Okay.
And then Mercury moves retrograde right after this eclipse.
Okay.
Right after. So the next day, the moon is in Taurus. The moon conjuncts Mercury. And then Mercury goes retrograde. So it's almost like the moon and the sun conjuncted, and they've made this powerful aspect. They've come to some powerful, like a crossroad. Something has come to light. And now the next day, Mercury goes retrograde. And so we have to reevaluate.
Okay.
Could that have happened? Is that really true?
Okay.
Do we really want to go in this direction? It will give us the next 3 weeks to really kind of pull things together.
Okay.
Because this eclipse will give us the confidence. That's the other thing that Aries is so good at. It gives us this confidence. And with the grand squares, there's a lot to consider. There's a lot of growth to happen if you want to be over there.
Right. Yes.
And you're here, but you want to be over there. The eclipse energy can help move you with the intentions that you set for yourself. But with Mercury going retrograde the next day, you might be going, ooh, do I really want that thing?
Okay.
Is it something that I can really get? So the thing with the Mercury retrograde is just to really hold your vision.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
That's the thing with this eclipse. You want to hold that vision. Vesta's there. Hold that vision that you have for yourself. Mercury retrograde will only bring you back to it.
Yes.
It's not going to take anything away from it.
Right.
It's going to challenge you to know what you really desire.
Fantastic. That makes me think of the card that came up today, which is a card that we had not too long ago. In fact, the two cards that came up are cards that we have had before in the previous lunation, at the new moon, at the vernal equinox. And the one that we're just speaking about now is the Four of Pentacles with this figure. This figure is embracing this pentacle, which to me speaks of what this figure values, what it desires, what it has around, and that it also has their feet on the pentacles. There's a pentacle on the crown. And I think that speaks to that holding of the vision of what you value, where you want to move, how you want to move forward. And then while we're here, this other card that came up at the vernal equinox, you were speaking that this new moon is kind of an echo of last month, and it's the Six of Cups, which is maybe sharing of resources, sharing of information, how to help nurture ancestral, what we pass down or what we're given from our elders. That's what came up this week, which I just think is interesting that we've had these cards not too long ago.
Yeah. You might be discovering intergenerational gifts, like gifts that your grandparents have that you now carry forward.
Yes.
In your own way. Not that specifically you will carry forward a business venture or a family business.
Right.
There might be gifts that your parents or your grandparents or even your great-grandparents handed down to you that you're now picking up and going, wow, I really love doing this. Why don't I try to find a way to do this more?
Yes.
Do more as a way to make a living. Do this more as my way of being in the world. That's Aries. I am this. I am doing this, I'm creating this. And it's a cardinal sign, and it's about creating. And not just about creating stuff, but about creating your sense of self.
Yes.
I am. That's Aries.
Yeah.
Examining those potentials that you brought with you as a ancestral gift,
Yeah,
that
sure.
is also something I think that could be really important.
Yeah, and maybe what we would like to pass on to others. What are
Yes.
the gift that we want to pass on to others? You'd mentioned when this card came up, you said, "Oh, I love that it's also about community." The card kind of takes place in this courtyard, and there's people around, and this idea of that what you're going to bring forward to give to others.
Yeah, there's definitely a sharing of some kind. Yeah.
I'm excited. I know that these can be challenging, but I always like to try to find what we can work with.
Yeah, well, the challenges are always going to be there. That's just the nature of being human. And this particular chart, it's loaded.
Yeah.
I mean, Chiron, we haven't talked about Chiron, but that square, I mean, Chiron is right there. It's at 16 degrees of Aries.
Okay.
It's within 6 degrees of Jupiter, and it's been in a conjunction with Jupiter basically all month, all of this month. And, as Jupiter's pulled away from Chiron, when the moon ends in Pisces early on Sunday, Monday, and then goes into Aries, by Wednesday, it's picking up that conjunction to Chiron just before it comes into this new moon eclipse time. So there is this sense of vulnerability on Wednesday, the 19th. So it's not just about Thursday, the new moon at 12 a.m. Yay! But there's a building from Monday night, Tuesday, the moon sextiles Venus. So again, being gracious and avoiding conflict right now is a good idea, avoiding reactivity. But then on Wednesday, the moon in Aries conjuncts Chiron, Jupiter, and Eris. They're all three lined up. They're a stellium. So this is a great time just before this new moon. It's the balsamic moon period. The moon is in its balsamic phase. This is a great time with these three planets and Centaur and a dwarf planet Eris. This is a great time to take up feel good opportunities. So it's setting us up for this lunation, showing our confidence, our optimism, but also being cognizant of where we may be feeling vulnerable or stepping into new territory. The other thing is we want to make sure that when we begin something, and when we start something, when we think about doing something, in our mind, before we actually take that step, we have a thought, I should move my foot forward, and then we move our foot forward. The thought power first, right? So before we make that move, we want to really check our motives. So are motives coming from a place of love, or are they coming from a place of avenging?
Yes.
Are we trying to right a wrong, or are we trying to lend support to a cause? I mean, those are all okay. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but you just want to make sure that you know that you're coming from the right place.
That's where maybe journaling about it could help, starting off the week with any ideas or plans, maybe journaling, writing some ideas down so that you can have the clearest notion of where you want to go as we get into this energy on Thursday.
Yes, Wednesday and Thursday, sure. Yeah, because that moon conjunct Chiron it's going to bring to light, touch us in a way that will make us feel vulnerable.
Yeah.
And that we might be acting out of a need to avenge or to right a wrong or to lend support. We want to lend support to a cause. We see something that's wrong out there. We want to get up and fight for the underdog. That's Eris. But just know, is that really your cause? Is that really your thing?
Yeah.
Because the moon is moving through those planets and it's part of the eclipse picture, but it's just a good thing to check in.
Fantastic.
Because the moon is such an ephemeral, it goes so quickly. It's a good thing to just double check in, see where that fits in with your true calling is.
Well, thank you, Jude. Listeners, if you have questions or comments, you can send us an email at connect@sisterstargazers.com. You can leave a comment in any of the places where you find the podcast. You can also tune in on Monday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Time to WMPG.org, where we do a bit of a deeper dive into the week. But we're wishing everybody a happy new moon week, and Jude, thanks for the breakdown.
Yes. There's an elation that can come from this exploration that the moon offers. So just just enjoy it and be prepared for the possibilities to open up for you, because that's the gift that this lunation offers.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We'll be here next week.
Thanks, everybody. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to Sister Stargazers. Let us know what worked for you this week. Find us on Facebook and post a comment at Sister Stargazers.